first off, everyone has masculine and feminine energy. And if you're non-binary, you still have it. If you're same-sex partners, you still have it. They're just energetics. It's not about genitalia. And it is. So when the old world was run, men were masculine, they were hardcore, and there's shadows to that, like domination, abuse, violence. No one wants that. I'm assuming no one wants that. And if you do want that, you might be a psychopath. So those qualities, while they built the world in some senses, right? Like think about fucking Alexander the Great, Napoleon. These were hardcore dudes that were like massacring cultures, but also creating cultures. So it's like there's dark and light in there. Now, something interesting happened when the Industrial Revolution happened, and then the First World Wars. The last 150 years, a lot has happened really fast. One of the things was women got the right to vote. Women started to equalize with men economically, and men started to become factory workers, and they lost the connection with the land and nature. And they also started to isolate more because they weren't necessarily with small villages and communities. They moved into cities. So this is all tied together because then what happens? 1960s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Everybody's taking psychedelics. Music explodes. There's this whole counterculture movement. Open sexuality because contraception comes in. I'm painting really broad brushstrokes, but all of this started to create a situation where some of that polarity reversal starts happening. So what does that look like? Well, in the 60s, and this is my dad's generation and these generations, who are now in their 50s, 60s, 70s, men grew their hair out, started to experiment with music, started to experiment with psychedelics, started to experiment with different sexual styles, and maybe not so much about mission and money. Meanwhile, what were women doing? Going to work, suiting up, getting hardcore. I'm an independent woman, opening businesses. And so what happened is this polarity reversal, which is a healthy, at the beginning, correction with the genders, because before it had kind of been locked into like hardcore machismo, man doesn't show emotions, and like submissive housewife, I just do the house, which are traditional gender roles, which when fully expressed actually do work, but in the form in our cultures, Australia, USA, New Zealand, Europe, the whole Western world, doesn't work so great, especially because of the level of like domestic violence, abuse, addiction, alcoholism, all of that stuff. Now we're in the inheritors of that. And, in these communities, I'm sure you've heard it a million times. I know I hear it all the time. Where are all the men? Why are there no masculine men?
Why are there no real men?
Right. Where are this, like in the spiritual community, why are there no masculine men? And then the same thing from brothers, they come to me, they're like, Jesus, like she's stuck in her feminine, It's like I'm dating a man. It's like, what's going on here? And I don't pretend to know the answers. I do know that we are in a pathway where you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. So a lot of brothers I've worked with, like they're actually struggling to express their masculinity because they're afraid of the backlash that culture has created with Me Too and all this cult of sensitivity.
Yeah, there's like walking on eggshells. It's not easy. No. It's not easy because we want to do the right thing. We don't want to make the wrong moves. Good intentions, but...
And the men that have come before us, unfortunately, I also believe were acting with their best intentions, but they caused a lot of damage. And so there's a post-traumatic thing happening where, and the culture, the mainstream culture and media is not helping this.